Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. This is still Tuesday, October 14th. So today was Charlie Kirk Red Out Day. As of yet, they haven't posted anything on their YouTube channel about it. So I'm glad I waited till tomorrow to cover it, or the video that's going to come out tomorrow. Today for you, which will be Wednesday. And so I'll start looking for info about the Red Out Day. I think Trump gave Charlie Kirk a medal of honor. But, before we had the Kirks, Charlie and Erika J. Kirk, there was another couple who's been equally as persecuted for their, well, not so much their religious views, but for their personalities. I mean, the Kirks aren't the only one who's been persecuted and bullied. I'm talking about a bullying epidemic that just got to stop. Like, I guess, got to put my foot down here. This bullying is out of freaking hand. Internet bullying. Of course, I'm talking about Hillaria J. Baldwin and her little buddy, Gilligan, Alex P. Jones, Alec P. Baldwin. And so let's get into it here. Here are the Baldwins getting bullied. Hillaria off of Dancing with the Stars and Alex getting bullied by driving into a tree. He's getting bullied by trees and mailboxes. Okay, so this is Hillaria J. Baldwin. One of my viewers sent me this stuff. I used to cover the Baldwins quite often. They were the Kirks before, the former Kirks.
Guys, I just wanted to come on and talk with you guys and say to you that I'm so grateful for this experience that I had on Dancing with the Stars. I never thought I would dance again. And
I never thought I was going to dance again. I didn't think I was ever going to dance again. She practices. Like, she's got Instagram videos where she had dance instructors coming in. So she did it regularly. She does all that yoga stuff. I mean, she's, this is just silly. And this is like, I mean, is she really a star, right?
I have all of you to thank for writing into the show and making this wild experience happen. And I'm so blessed that I got to share this with my family. I loved everybody I met there. And
You did, everybody. There wasn't one asshole. Corey Feldman. You love Corey Feldman, do you?
Really excited to cheer on my castmates. Today is World Mental Health Day. And I would be
remiss. She'd be remiss if she didn't talk about how crazy she is. That she fakes an accent. She's from Boston, Spain. She grew up in a suburb of Boston with two very Anglo parents. And, this has been well documented. But somehow she magically got a Spanish accent from going to Spain on vacation. Faked it, forever. And then she got caught and she just said, no, this is the way I talk. I actually am Spanish. I am, I'm both Spanish and English, right? Her native language is English and she still has this accent. And she has trouble remembering the word cucumber.
I didn't address the elephant in the room, which
was that you're crazy, and
is that there was some bullying going on aimed at me over the past few.
No way. Were you getting bullied again? Jesus fucking Christ, you and your bullying. Were they stealing your lunch? Was Corey Feldman stealing your lunch money over there? Did Corey Feldman come up with his big masculine physique and steal your lunch money?
Weeks. Very coordinated, strategic bullying. And as I feel the darkness that undoubtedly brings to me, I always want to remember that my life belongs to the whole community.
Exactly. You're a community person.
And I want to leave a lasting mark of courage to speak up against what is simply wrong.
Okay, just get rid of this bullying.
One of the most common things that people say to me when they meet me,
are you fucked in the head?
they actually meet me, is how surprised they are by negativity that I receive, because in reality I am none of the negative things that some people say.
Except for faking an accent, which is a big thing, and then being married to Alec Baldwin. Just all of it, right?
And it breaks my heart.
Breaks her little heart.
Misrepresenting people in campaigns of hate.
Hate campaigns against her. Unfair hate campaigns.
They take lives. And they demolish mental health.
They demolish mental health with their constant bullying.
And it's tragic how rampant this behavior is.
Thank God you're speaking up against it. We got to put an end to it.
And countless suffer daily.
She's suffering from the online bullying.
I cannot in good conscience stay silent. For me, experiencing something that I know plagues so many while having a big platform, it torments me and it makes me defiant. Because some people don't have the blessing that I have.
Exactly. So not everyone can marry Alec Baldwin.
Of all of you who support me and write me kind things every day. And
yeah, there's nothing better than strangers on Instagram who are celebrity chasers writing you messages and telling you how great you are.
Are excited to see the different projects that I do and things that I create. And that makes me sad because I don't want anyone else to feel alone.
I just feel so alone. I don't want you guys to feel alone.
I want to lend myself to help. And if I have 1 ounce of influence in me, I want to use it for good to help others.
Exactly.
Some of the people who have harassed me for years and misrepresented and outright have lied about me, I know that they'll only be satisfied when I'm gone.
You think people want you to kill yourself? Like, I've been covering for you for years. Maybe you could just admit that you did this weird faked accent thing. Like, it all would go away. If one, I advised these guys, like they just wouldn't stop talking when Alec was under investigation for murdering. I mean, her scandal was big, and then he murdered a coworker. He shot a coworker, and they kept on posting more and more things on Instagram, making it worse. And I was like, Jesus Christ! I mean, not that I wanted to, because I was covering them, and it was quite humorous for me. But the hypocrisy from Alec Baldwin, where he was going after Trump constantly, and he has the same personality as Trump. Like, in his imitation of Trump is just an exaggerated, he does these ducky lips, it's just exaggerated imitation of himself, right? And he would go after Trump and the Republicans, and I'm like, I mean, it's just the hypocrisy and how much of an asshole he's been. That's why I started covering him about 5 years ago. And then all the scandals happened. But you're faking an accent. Like, you're appropriating a culture, which I don't care about. But it's a big lie, and you won't admit to it. Like, the evidence is overwhelming that you don't have a Spanish accent. This is something you've created a little character for yourself, and it doesn't work. And, there's, as far as I know, Dancing with the Stars works where you vote for people, not against them. And so if you are saying that people were campaigning against you, so you would get voted off, it was, you have your fans and people who could have voted for you. And so if you're saying people were trying to vote for other people to get you off, that's kind of far-fetched given that there's a lot of other contestants, right? Like, all you had to do is bring in your own votes. She was, professional level dancer out there. I mean, I can't tell the difference. I showed you one. I saw one clip, and I'm like, oh my God, she's good at it, right? But she was actually, one of the more professional dancers that was on there because she practices. This is her thing. And so she should have gotten more votes, and she got whatever scores she got. So if the judges were giving her shitty scores, I didn't see the show. Well, you think the judges hated you, right? What level of conspiracy you think there's against you other than the fact that you faked this accent and everybody fucking knows it, right? And it's just weird.
It seems that nothing I can say or do will be right. Just
admit that you faked an accent, that you are an American girl that grew up in America in Boston. You should have some kind of a Bostonian accent, right? Retarded. You should talk like that. You should say things like it's retarded. Like, you should talk like that. But if you can't talk like that, if you just have an American accent, not a Boston accent. But where'd you get a Spanish accent from?
In their eyes, I am always getting everything wrong, and I'm too much and not enough. And
oh my God, it's so hard to be you, bro.
there's nothing I can do about that.
There's nothing I can do about it. I can't be better. It's nothing I can do to please them.
Please remember me as someone who is determined to speak up.
Yes, we will. We'll remember you. Please remember me.
Now, I'm not perfect, and I'm messy and raw and forgetful. But each of our lives and voices count.
We all count. We all count.
May we use them for kindness, encouragement, love, rather than sick pylons that we all know won't be remembered well. So I love you, and I'm grateful to you, and I know that there's more positivity than negativity, but sometimes the negative can feel really loud. And I know that that's not just me. And so I'm sending you love, and I'm here for you as you are here for me. And I love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. That wasn't the only one. There's another one here. So here's another one from TikTok.
I did get bullied off the show. I did. That is for sure. That is for sure.
That's for sure. That's for sure. They like to whisper over there. Alec Baldwin likes to whisper too. For sure, she definitely got bullied. They bullied the shit out of her. The other dancers were hiding her stilettos and her sparkly things and her bedazzling things and her headgear, and they would put oil on the dance floor when she was her chance to dance, and they would leave bags of poop in her locker. they bullied her off, but she loved every one of them. Okay, so I used to visit the Baldwin's Instagram pages quite often. It was quite funny. But those days are gone. But not only did she get bullied off of Dancing with the Stars, but in a less important problem, Alec was in a car accident.
Hey, I'm getting a lot of messages about the accident that Alec was in today, the car accident, and I just want you to know he's okay. Stephen is okay. Everybody is okay. No one was hurt, and that is the most important thing. So I love you, and thank you for caring.
We care so much about Alec. A chance for her to get some love on Instagram. Then
wow.
I'm gonna mute this with a copyright. Look at her go. Look at her friend go. Look at them go. They're wearing their black. She's not giving up on dance. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Look at them go. Look at them do their thing. Look at them shake their bosoms at each other. Look at them throw feces at the camera. So she's not done dancing. She's not going to let those bullies win. Don't let those bullies win. Let all those bullies win when you can do your dances. You can throw feces. Here, go throw some feces at the camera. There you go. Take that, bullies. New release video shows the moment Alec Baldwin tries to pass a truck on the right, but instead swerves into a tree. This happened Monday afternoon in East Hampton, New York. Baldwin initially blamed the truck for cutting him off and provided no evidence to back up the story. Baldwin was likely driving too fast on the wet roads and couldn't stop to avoid the truck, so he freely tried to go around it by using the shoulder. No serious injuries, and no investigation by standard accident procedure. So here, Newsmax has the thing.
Video showing the moment actor Alec Baldwin crashed his SUV on the east end of New York's Long Island. The video is from the front-facing camera on a commercial truck. You're seeing the truck here making what's believed to be a legal right turn, and then it slows down.
Seconds later, Baldwin's SUV is seen hitting a mailbox and a tree off to the right side of the truck. The actor, an outspoken Trump hater, claimed on social media that he was driving his wife's Range Rover with his brother Stephen.
Yeah, it was obviously a wet road, and the truck pulled out, and he was probably going way too fast. He couldn't stop, and so he fucking hit a tree in the mailbox. And, he's getting bullied. He was being bullied by this truck and all these haters of Hillaria, and they're bullying him, so he has to drive too fast because he doesn't want to slow down for any of those bullies to catch up to him. And, the bullies made it rain and made him drunk and made him have his dopey brother Stephen in the passenger seat. That it can't be good for him, right? It's got to be, it can't be his fault. I mean, it can't be his fault he was drunk. Speeding. Nothing his fault. I mean, we saw that. Remember when he shot his coworker in the face and felt sorry for himself and cried for himself on national TV and blamed everybody but himself, even though he's a producer on the show. And, clearly he had some culpability in the death of his coworker, but not Alec. It's always somebody else's fault. This case, it's the truck. I mean, the bullies and the haters, the right-wing haters, must have somehow put grease on the road and did chemtrails and seeded the clouds so it would rain. I mean, it's bullies. He was being bullied. I mean, who put a tree there anyway? Didn't they know Alec Baldwin was going to be driving up on the side of the road? Who put a mailbox in a tree there? Bullies. Fucking bullies putting trees. Some bully 100 years ago planting this big oak tree and just saying, hey, I'll leave it here someday so I can bully Alec P. Jones, Alec P. Baldwin. And so, I mean, it's the fucking bullies, the Baldwins. I mean, it's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. It's the bullies. Fucking bullies. And I mean, just a couple of days after his wife gets booted from Dancing with the Stars, and he gets bullied by this tree and this mailbox and this truck and this rain and the weather. Bunch of fucking bullies out there. Remember, you can't have bullies without bull. you can't have bullies without bull, and that's exactly what the Baldwins are suffering from. They're suffering from a lot of bull. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Still Tuesday, October 14th. I'm going to start covering this today. This just popped up. 14,000 people watching. 14,000. No, I'm serious. 14 fucking thousand people watching here. Not 100,000, not a million. And this is what they're watching. It's already started over here with Trump. We will begin shortly, but it took a while for him to get going here. But Trump comes in, and it's Charlie Kirk receives the Medal of Freedom at the White House on his birthday. What a present. Nobody gives presents like Trump, especially when he's not paying for them. No one doles out governmental paid presents. Look at the hearts here. Look at the hearts. There's hearts coming in on the side, hearts everywhere. Hearts, money and hearts, people donating, and they're putting their heart. There's so much heart here. I mean, that's what this movement is just 100% heart. And also, this paid advertisement here from this guy, Scott Bessent reveals how they're going to crush left-wing extremism. That was posted an hour before. That's got 5,000 views. They're getting crazy views here. I mean, it's just, you know, they haven't lost their audience. They still have it. I mean, right now, as we speak, 16,000 people watching. New people are being added every moment. They didn't do a very good job of promoting this thing. And there are the hearts everywhere. Hearts coming in. Let's get to it. There they come. There it is. Trump and Erika J. Kirk. There they are. Well, I thought, see, this was supposed to be a red out. Everyone was supposed to buy red T-shirts. They were merching up and wear red, you know, just cover everyone was red on Charlie's birthday. Boom, there they go. There she is, wearing black still. Her mourning's not over yet. She's still mourning.
Thank you very much, everybody. Please.
You're welcome.
This is such an honor.
It's such an honor.
This is the, please.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit the fuck down.
This is the first time we've been at the new and improved Rose Garden, and people are loving it. They're loving it like they've not loved a lot of things.
They love this like more than everything. They love this more than they love their kids. Frankly, this garden that I've built, it was pretty good before. It was okay. It was shitty. It was, you know, a Biden garden. And I mean, it was like a garden I was in. But, you know, now I've rebuilt this thing, and now they love it more than their own fucking kids. People are like, hey, can I give you my kids to just sleep here at the Rose Garden?
Presidential Walk of Fame, which you just saw, and it just opened, and we wanted to get it open for this occasion.
We did. We were like, oh, we started to build it like 6 months ago. We go, let's get it done by Charlie Kirk's birthday because that guy's going to be dead in 6 months.
We were able to get outside, and the weather allowed us to. It was supposed to be a terrible rainy day. I was telling Eric, and God was watching, and he didn't want that for Charlie.
He didn't want that for Charlie and me. You know, what would happen if it rained on my hair and everyone see that I got this glued shit up there, and when it rained I start melting and everyone see that I'm actually just some alien ghoul up here. Plus God said, fuck you, Alec Baldwin. Let's throw the rain at Alec Baldwin. He let him crash into a tree. That liberal fucking radical violent piece of shit. Let's he made it rain on Alec Baldwin, but here he spared us because he loves us more because we're Republicans.
He just didn't want that. So it's really beautiful. It couldn't be more beautiful. Today we're here to honor and remember a fearless warrior for liberty, beloved leader who galvanized the next generation like nobody I've ever seen before.
He was the galvanizer. I mean, if he is a superhero, they call him the galvanizer. He could galvanize anything. He was one, and you know, Charlie Shekels. I mean, no one took Shekels like Charlie. This guy takes Shekels, but it's a mixture of Shekels and blackmail. But you know, Jeffrey Epstein style blackmail, but not Charlie Shekels, right?
And
Charlie Shekels took the most shekels. I mean, he was the best shekeler out there.
And patriot of the deepest conviction, the finest quality and the highest caliber, the late, great Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, boom.
Five weeks ago, our nation was robbed of this extraordinary champion. He was a champion in every way.
Every way he was a champion, that guy.
I know him so well. He didn't like losing. And he was able to fight people that were enemies, and he didn't necessarily love those enemies so much. You know, I heard he loved his enemies, and I said, wait a minute, is that the same Charlie that I know? I'm not sure, but I didn't want to get into it.
I didn't want to call bullshit on that old thing with Erika forgiving people and all these people talking about Charlie being a saint and how much he loved his enemies. That motherfucker was full of hatred and shekels. He had shekel-driven hatred, right?
But it was a horrible, heinous, demonic act of murder. He was assassinated in the prime of his life for boldly speaking the truth.
Boldly speaking the truth. That guy, there's no more truth-related stuff to that guy. That guy brought the fucking truth, that motherfucker.
His faith and relentlessly fighting for a better and stronger America. He loved this country. And that's why this afternoon it's my privilege to posthumously award Charles James Kirk, our nation's highest civilian honor.
Charlie J. Kirk.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you.
And the best shekeler out there. Woo! Where's your enthusiasm? That's some bullshit.
As you know, only hours ago I returned from a very historic trip to secure peace.
Enough about Charlie. Fuck that guy. Let's talk about me and my amazing.
In the Middle East, people said that couldn't be done. Charlie felt it could be done.
Yeah, Charlie was like, first we got to do is we got to obliterate the Gaza Strip, bomb the shit out of it, crush the buildings, destroy everything that these people had, the infrastructure, the people, kill 600,000 people, and then peace will have to happen.
Charlie felt it could be done.
He did. He knew that we could bomb the shit out of him. I mean, you know, 100 million shekels a year, he knew we could get done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But I raced back halfway around the globe. I was going to call Erika and say, Erika, could you maybe move it to Friday? And I didn't have the courage to call.
Because that bitch is fucking crazy. No one wants to mess with Erika.
You know why I didn't call? Because I heard today was Charlie's birthday. And I said, you know, that was a definite.
So you were trying to get this thing done by Charlie's birthday, but you didn't know it was Charlie's birthday?
And I said, we're going to have to forget about some of those very big, very rich countries that expected me to be there.
I mean, you know, I was supposed to get shackled up by those countries. I thought I might grab another plane for myself, some other bullshit, you know, but I had to come back here for Charlie and his wife.
And I can tell you, based on the length of that flight, I wouldn't want to go back tomorrow. But I would not have missed this moment for anything in the world. Nothing. And it's a very important time for our country, and our country is doing so well. It's never done better. We are a country with...
Nothing about Charlie. Let's talk about how great I'm fucking doing as president.
Almost now $18 trillion of investment coming in. Nobody's ever seen anything like that.
Nobody's ever seen, like, it's like, I mean, if you've seen something like this, almost impossible. It violates the laws of physics.
Previous administration had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We have more than 18, it'll be much more than 20 by the time the year, more than $20 trillion. There's never been a country in the world that had anything like that. What's happened to our country is incredible in a short period of time. Charlie was a big person for Sir, can we close up those borders, please, a little bit? You know?
That's exactly how Charlie talked. If you've seen his video, sir, this is how everyone talks when they talk to Trump. Sir, can you close up those borders, please, sir? President, Mr. President, can you close up those borders?
Really leaking badly. I said, Charlie, I haven't gotten there yet. But, you know, it came out last 4 months. Literally nobody was allowed into our country.
Not one guy. Not one fucking guy got across the border. They've tightened that shit up.
And the only people that were allowed in were people that came in legally. The borders are absolutely stone cold closed. And they reported 0, 0, 0, and 0. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good, those zeros.
But he was a big believer. He wanted people in the country more than I did, frankly. He wanted them to come in legally. And he got his wish. October 14th is Charlie's birthday, and he should have been turning 32 years old. I tell you, when I first met him, he was like 22. And I said, boy, he's awfully young. But I thought he was older than that, you know. He looked a little bit older than his age. That's okay.
Trump is good at thinking people are older than they actually are. You know, like 15-year-old girls that look like they're 18. He learned that from Jeffrey Epstein. He learned that from Jeffrey Epstein, speaking of shekels.
It's not good when you're old, but when you're young, it's great.
It's great.
He had the best of all things, but he was special. But instead, Charlie is attaining a far more important milestone. We're entering his name forever into the eternal roster of true American heroes.
He's a true American hero, if anyone saw. The amount of betrayal he did by getting paid by a foreign government to betray the American people, American taxpayers, and create a genocide in Palestine and Gaza Strip, and all the bullshit that he did. He was a fucking hero, this motherfucker.
True American hero, an amazing person, way, way beyond his years.
I mean, you know, he's like 40. He had like 40 years of herodom.
And I'm honored to be joined by a woman who has endured unspeakable hardship with unbelievable strength, and that's Charlie's widow, Erika. And I just want to thank you, Erika. He
Thanks,
loved
Erika.
you so much.
He loved you, Erika. He did. He loved you. Well, not as much as he loved
I was
shekels.
with him.
Well, look at them. Look at them stand up. They're not, you know, they don't think that she was faking it, right?
Thank you, darling. Thank you. I was with him before I met Erika, and he told me he was going to get married. He said, you won't believe how beautiful she is. I said, well, then now that I meet her, he's right. But then he also said, and you know what? She's like the smartest person I know. See,
just like when Joe Biden said that about Hunter, right? Hunter J. Biden, who's really smart.
Go together on occasion. Not often. Not often.
Most of these beautiful women that I bang are really dumb as fuck. I like them dumb. I like them dumb like my 3 wives. But Charlie, I mean, he got beauty and brains. And she's such a good actress, and she's such a good crier, and nobody dabs her eyelids like her. Nobody knows how to spend shekels like she does. She can spend the shit out of a shekel.
But on occasion they go together. But he was in love with you. He was deeply in love with you. It's great. Erika, your love and courage have been an inspiration to all of us, and we will always be here for you, and we're always going to be here for your gorgeous, beautiful children.
Your gorgeous, beautiful, faceless children that no one ever sees. You know, they're like Sia, the singer. They have no faces, but we just assume they're beautiful and gorgeous.
We'll never forget what your family has sacrificed for our country.
Yeah, that's exactly how the story's played out, like him being sacrificed. How much he sacrificed for me not having to deal with Jeffrey Epstein and him trying to turn on the shekel masters. Let's move forward here.
People than any Republican by far in the history of our country. And we won the popular vote. We won the swing states, all 7.
Oh, shit. Like, he's going to credit Charlie with that.
And very few people will ever have. So today, like those martyrs before him, Charlie's voice, his message, and his legacy
As martyrs.
on earth to defend. He was put on earth to do exactly what he was doing. He didn't want to waste time. He would have been a top student at any college in the country. I know the colleges well. He's smarter than the guys there.
He's just smarter than all those college. I mean, I talked to him. I know every college kid, and I know that Charlie was smarter than every one of them. And he was like
smart. But he almost, I guess, didn't have the time. He knew what he wanted to do. It wasn't like, gee, I want to sit in the classroom for 4 years listening to people teach me liberal principles, because they were never going to teach him that anyway. But he didn't have the
I don't want to hear that liberal bullshit.
time. He really didn't have the time. But every time the enemies of goodness and virtue tried to silence the voice of righteous and noble leaders like Charlie,
He took a shit ton of shekels and he shut them the fuck up.
they failed. They seem to fail. Ultimately, they look like they're doing well, and then they end up failing.
Then they just fail because they didn't have the shekels that Charlie had.
Because the truth has been unrelenting over the years, over history. And people like Charlie, it's just they've got a power that others don't have, and
The power of the shekel.
very few people will ever have. So today, like those martyrs before him, Charlie's voice, his message, and his legacy are stronger and greater than ever before.
Than ever before. Even though his channel gets no views and people aren't. This thing isn't even cracking 20,000 views here.
But they are greater than ever before. Look, this is a horrible event, but it brought out the greatness of Charlie.
It did. Just he brought out all of his greatness.
Nothing could have ever supplanted this. It's incredible. The way
Incredible. This
and
guy.
they keep running. Pretty amazing, right? Get back in. Because no matter how good we do, somebody can sneak in. They were so violent and so bad. One arrested 28 times. Every time he left prison, he'd get into a violent,
Yeah, these guys.
totally unrestricted. All they have to do is stop crime, and they're doing it. By
They're
the way,
doing it.
Memphis,
That's all they
as
have
you
to do
know,
is stop the
everything's
crime.
Perfect paint job. And they're all the same. They're call me, sir, please, you haven't done it yet. I said, Charlie, relax. Just
You go back
relax.
here.
They said for the environment, it's great. They lost 25,000 houses. It's incredible. But the commissioner said without the federal government and President Trump's intervention, we would have lost the entire city. And we have the Olympics going there soon. I got the Olympics. We have the Olympics. We have the World Cup. And we have, most importantly, we have the 250th anniversary of our country. That's going to be most important.
Enough about Charlotte. Let's talk about me and my accomplishments.
And all of these things are happening. And we're going to have safe cities. We're going to have very, very safe cities. So 1 month after Charlie's death, we still feel the terrible shock and the pain of his loss, like just about nobody I can think of. Charlie Kirk was one of a kind. He was unstoppable. And he really was.
Except for by bullets. And by shekels. Like once they cut off his shekels, and now he's pretty stoppable.
When he had an idea in his head, he would call me, sir, please, you haven't done it yet. I said, Charlie, relax.
It sounds like Charlie was a real pain in the ass. Hey, stop nagging me, bro.
Just relax. He didn't relax. He'd call me the next day again. It got it done. But he was like indomitable and always will be. He's really irreplaceable.
So you can see this from his show where they got a couple of beta males shelling one testicle. Right? Those fucking guys.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom
Let's
is
go back here.
Restaurants are opening up. The big problem, it's hard for them to speak badly about them because they just don't. And then you do.
I mean, it was just.
Or they are greater than ever before. Look, this is a horrible event, but it brought out the greatness of Charlie.
It just did.
Nothing could have ever supplanted this. It's incredible the way people are talking about him, and with great love. I mean, I read so many stories about some of the enemies, but I watch the enemies, and it's hard for them to speak badly about him because
The enemies just love Charlie. The enemies. Not the American citizens, not the people who are in the opposite party. These enemies, they're all enemies. Anybody who's not a Trumper is an enemy.
they just don't. And then you do have people in the days since Charlie's killing. We've seen exactly why our country so dearly needed his example. We've watched legions of far-left radicals resort.
Legions of them. There's legions of them. There's like whole levels of troops and militias of left-wing fucking pussies out there.
to desperate acts of violence and terror because they know that their ideas and arguments are persuading no one. They know that they're failing. They have the devil's ideology.
They're devil worshippers. Let's just call it that. All the left, everyone who's not a Trumper is a devil worshiper.
Failing, and they know it. They feel it. And they become violent. They seem to become very violent on the left. They've rammed vehicles into federal law enforcement, fired sniper rifles at ICE agents, and me.
Me, right here, me. So that just like a little.
Into federal law enforcement, fired sniper rifles at ICE agents, and me.
Boom, right here, this non-existent wound. Remember when I put ketchup on my ear? You guys remember that time? Nobody buys that shit anymore. They fired, and again, it was just some nameless guy, right? I mean, there's some guy who had no backstory, some corpse they threw up on the fucking roof. Nobody knows anything about him. Didn't have any political ideology. He was up there with a rangefinder and a rifle, and on the sights of the counter snipers that were there to shoot people like him. He was using his rangefinder to figure the distance between him and Trump. And he was up there for 8 minutes, and they didn't take him out. Right, that guy, right, that bullshit thing that happened, that was fake as fuck. That, now everybody's finally coming around to how fake it was. That thing where there's no wound or no, I got shot right here in the ear. I did. It nicked me, even though it stopped bleeding by the time I stood up. And I went to the hospital, and the guy said, "Get out of here. There's no cut here." This doctor said it was less than 2 centimeters because it didn't exist at all. Because no cut at all is less than 2 centimeters. 0, 0, 0.
But I made a turn at a good time. I turned to the right. Charlie couldn't believe it, actually.
Nobody could fucking believe it because it's bullshit.
How the hell did you make that turn? I said, I don't know. But
he dodged bullets is what I'm saying. Just like Charlie kept that imaginary bullet from a sniper rifle that didn't actually hit him because they found some other fragmented bullet inside of his throat.
Rifles and threatened the lives of our Supreme Court justices, our great justices.
There's just great justice all over the place.
A restaurant in D.C. anymore. So they're opening up. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's called safety. It's called law enforcement and letting them do their job. And that's why I said last month that I have directed the Attorney General and the Department of Homeland Security to confront the very real threat of left-wing terrorism in our country.
It's a very real threat.
Threat. Not when you confront it, it's not, because they're not brave people. In fact, they're cowards. When you confront them, they
not like this brave motherfucker right here.
Immediately fold. You have to see them fold. You have to see them crying. They fold. But it includes dismantling the networks that fund them and finance them, and we're finding out who those networks are. We already know quite a few of them.
We got them. We'll get rid of those networks.
When you see these violent incidents and then you see people holding this gorgeous sign with beautiful wood, beautiful cardboard, wood, everything.
Beautiful cardboard.
Perfect paint job. And they're all the same. There are thousands of them. You know that they weren't made in the basement out of love.
Okay, here we go. Let's get into Erika J. Kirk here. He's giving her the medal. Look at her. Let's go back a little bit. Look. Here it is. There she is. There she is, not wearing red. It's supposed to be red out. She's got to wear black. She's there. It is. Look at it. Show everybody. Give Trump a hug. Snoozle him like you did before. Hold on to him. Cry so much. Now she's going to have to speak. Holy shit. She gets to speak. Usually they give these medals and the person just sits there. They don't do a speech. But not fucking Erika J. Kirk. She's getting up there.
Process in the Middle East.
Here. Get up there, Erika. Do your fucking thing. Do your dandiest. Do your dandy. Okay, get up there. Okay. Want to say a few words? Okay. I wasn't planning to. Let me dab my eye because I'm crying. I'm crying again. It's been a month and a half. I'm still crying, but I'm going to laugh too. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to cry. I'm going to do it all because that's me. This is me, Erika J. Kirk.
Thank you, Mr. President, for honoring my husband in such a profound and meaningful way. And thank you for making this event a priority amid the peace process in the Middle East. Thank you.
Exactly. Like, who needs that shit, you know? Charlie wasn't taking shekels anymore. We're not getting so many shekels anymore, so fuck those guys.
Grateful. Charlotte, excuse me.
I forgot his fucking name. What is his name? What? Give line. So,
Charlie always admired your commitment to freedom, and that's something that both of you shared.
you guys both really love that freedom, except, you know, when you put out martial law and you're suppressing the media and you do everything in your power to get rid of freedom and for the people in the Gaza Strip and other places in the world. But, you know, you guys love freedom. And yeah, you like the word.
Thank you. Your support of our family and the work that Charlie devoted his life to will be something I cherish forever, so thank you.
Don't dab that eye again.
To our gracious First Lady in her office for making this event possible, thank you as well.
I think you're crying. Dab your eye.
Beautiful.
Dab it.
To Vice President and the lovely Usha.
Usha. I love you so. Usha. Usha.
An unbelievable encouragement.
Oh, you're so great, Usha. Dab your eye. Dab your fucking eye. Dab
and
it.
to all our friends and family that are here.
Dab it. That's it. Dab it. Fucking little dab will do you.
Watching from all around the world. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for praying for us.
Thank you for sending shekels. You know, I got $2.5 million of shekels from you guys. That was great. Like, you know, even though I'm the richest single mom in the world, certainly in America. But, you know, thanks for your shekels. And I'm not going to give it to more needy people. I got big gaudy jewelry, chunky jewelry I like to wear.
Charlie believed in. And to our Turning Point USA staff.
You're all fucking fired. We're tanking. I got to fire like fucking 90% of you guys because we're eating shit right now. We got a couple of beta males sharing one testicle in charge of our show. They're not doing such a good job. Fucking, we barely get any views. This thing isn't even doing anything.
Charlie Kirk Show staff, we love you more than you could ever know.
More than you could ever know.
And to the Turning Point USA chapters that are watching all across America right now.
Got a little snot there I got to wipe off.
Oh.
What's he doing, Trump?
You are the heartbeat of this future and of this movement. Everything that Charlie built, you guys are the legacy holders of that. You are
I forgive him.
living proof that his mission did not die with him.
You guys are living proof that even though there's no enthusiasm and we're shitting the bed and nobody wants to see him, we don't have anybody to replace him, you guys are living proof that Charlie's legacy has died a slow and ugly death, a quick and ugly death.
It lives through you. And Charlie always said the next generation will decide whether freedom endures. And because of you, I know that freedom will endure.
I do. I know that. Freedom will endure. I haven't wiped my eye in a while.
It will. And today we're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom.
Freedom.
The very existence of the Presidential Medal of Freedom reminds us that the national interest of the United States has always been freedom.
Freedom.
Our founders etched it into the preamble of our Constitution, and those words are not relics on parchment. They are a living covenant. The blessings of liberty are not man's invention. They are God's endowment.
There's God's endowment, just for certain privileged Americans and not fucking everyone else in the world. Like, God doesn't like those Palestinians because they don't know Jesus. They don't know Jesus like the Christians. And the Christians are just, we got freedom. The rest of the world, fuck those guys.
Charlie lived for those blessings, not as abstract words, but as sacred promises.
Dab it.
He used to love to journal about this topic all the time, and with such a heart postured.
Jesus Christ, she just goes on forever. What else we got here?
Peace. Because he was unreachable at the moment.
Wait, who was unreachable?
And ironically, for a man who impacted millions, Charlie never desired to be the center of attention.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he did everything to become the center of attention.
He just wasn't. My husband was not a man of extravagance. He
Like, let me give this man a smile. I'm going to smile, and then within seconds, I'm going to dab a tear.
loved simple but deeply meaningful things. Truly. He loved his late night walks.
He loved them late night walks.
He loved buying more books than he could ever read because he felt there was no such thing as a book budget.
No book budget for him. Oh my God, I'm so sad now.
And he loved being able to read to our kids the same bedtime story on repeat because he knew it was their favorite. But to him, that was special.
I'm so special. I'm going to cry again here.
And he loved to sit in the sun.
Now I'm going to laugh. I'm going to cry, then I'm going to laugh. I'm going to dab my ears, my eyes, my nose.
Saturday morning with his cup of decaf coffee, and his phone was off because he was honoring the Sabbath.
You know how he loved them, these shekels.
Him, it was that moment to catch his breath and just be in peace because he was unreachable at the moment.
It's unreachable now.
And he preferred quiet birthdays. That never stopped me from telling him. I told him every single year, I said, baby, I love your birthday.
I love your birthday. I do. One day when you die, I'm going to get up here and tell everybody why I get this Medal of Freedom for myself. I loved it. I love your birthday. I love your birthday more than ever now.
I said, because it's the day that God knew the world couldn't go another day without you.
Yes, it's true. God said, we got to have some guy who just takes so many fucking shekels. We need a guy who stuffs his pockets with shekels and he lies about Israel and he promotes a genocide. We can't have another day without that guy. We need a guy like that who argues with college students and he gets really upset, angry, and his things. He comes with these great ideas about homeless people. Let me show you that. All right, this came up today. Let me start it over again. Somehow it's not working this whole.
What are your thoughts on like how you would deal with the homeless issue, just like there and just like world countrywide?
Yeah, you just don't put up with it. You just clean it up. You tell them you got to leave, you got to move, pick up your stuff. We'll put you to a shelter. So Democrat politicians want it. They don't care. They don't care about the cleanliness or the vitality of a city. It's too bad. It's tragic.
It's the Democrats. He talks with confidence, and I think he's just more manufactured. I don't think this guy had. I don't know how he appealed to people. He's certainly better than what they have now. But he's a dumb motherfucker, or he didn't care how stupid his shit was, right? Because, let's go further here.
So, like, when you say, like, remove them, like, not like, disperse them, like,
a police officer goes up to him. You do this in any decent city, right? New York used to do this for a while under Giuliani. Say, sir, you got to leave. Or, ma'am, you got to leave. No, I don't want to. You got to leave. I'll be back in an hour. You do it super humanely. Come back. They're still there. Be like, I really don't want to do this. We got to leave. And if they don't leave, then you say, you got to get in the squad car, and you put them in the squad car. You don't arrest them. You just bring them to the homeless shelter. And then you give them a meal. You give them treatment, right? You keep their stuff together. You do it the right way. But acting as if the street's your home. It's bad for them, by the way. You know how many of these poor
Okay, so it's like really stupid to think that there's enough. You think that homeless shelters have a lot of vacancies, right? Like they go to homeless shelters, they get meals, they sleep there, whatever it is. They can only stay there for so long. So his solution, like his idea here is that the taxpayers should build as many homeless shelters as possible and allow people to get free meals, free medical treatment, pay for doctors, places to store their stuff. And that should all go on the taxpayers' dime. Like, this is a Republican, dumbass Republican. Like, if they take people like they did in Washington, D.C., the homeless, they ship them out and they just drop them somewhere else. They don't have fucking enough homeless shelters. The homeless shelters get full and they have they can't live there. It's like they can stay there in the homeless shelter forever. And, the homeless started when they had all these psychiatric patients and they just dumped them on the streets. I think it was Republicans that did that years and years ago. They had all these crazy fucks and they just dumped them on the streets. People who couldn't hold a job, people who couldn't function. But the whole idea is that our government doesn't want to pay for that shit, right? disabilities. I mean, it costs a lot of money, and there's money in prisons, but not money with homeless shelters and homeless people. And people expect them to get a job or to do whatever, to stand on their own 2 feet, and they can't because they're crazy. They don't have it in them, right? I mean, they don't, whatever. They're drug addicts, whatever it is. And so, it's not solvable by government throwing money at it and building homeless shelters, because then you'd have everybody who didn't feel like working would just say, I'll just go to a homeless shelter, right? Like people who are in shitty cockroach-infested apartments and gangland, some kind of, projects and shit like that. I'd be like, I'll just go to the homeless shelter, right? I'll just live there, get free food, free whatever. Like, they don't do that shit. Like, America doesn't do that shit. Republicans don't do that shit, right? And so, like, you get them off the streets, but then you just dump them somewhere else. That's what it's about. Like, there's just, they have to terminate them. That's their only real option. They got to, like, Soylent Green them.
Homeless people wander in the street. They get hit by cars, and they're in ERs. And
it's crazy. You ever see how many homeless people are getting hit by cars?
Terrible. It's awful.
What are your thoughts?
It's inhumane. He's a dumb motherfucker, right? I mean, at least he's, he knows his audience is dumb or whatever it is. That's not a solution. There's not really much of a solution for homeless people. They can't function in society. And it's a large number of people. And it isn't like they don't go to homeless shelters, because those homeless shelters are usually pretty packed with people getting meals and things like that. You just can't stay there, right? You just can't stay at a homeless shelter for... No, there are not enough homeless shelter beds in the U.S. Recent reports show a national shortage of over 200,000 beds, with 60% of the states lacking sufficient capacity for this homeless populations. Rising housing costs, increased homelessness, and the expiration of COVID-era aid contribute to the growth demand for shelters that outpaces supply, leading to high rates for unsheltered homeless. And a lot of these people are so crazy, or they're addicts. It's not like they get necessarily methadone or something like that, right? They can't just detox in a homeless shelter. They can't go cold turkey. And so, it's like a fucking bigger problem than that moron fucking has anything to say. Well, let's just dump them in homeless shelters, right? And like the people in homeless shelter are equipped to deal with all those different problems that they have. And they're, mental illnesses that, some of them are paranoid, and they, violently attack other people and all that shit. Like, they have rules, and most of the homeless people can't abide by those rules, and they can't stay there anyway. It's a short-term situation. It isn't like, you have some people who, they can function. They just have hard times. And, for those people, yeah. Like some people who are, they need some help getting back up on their feet. But there's no governmental programs, because Trump doesn't pay for that shit. Republicans don't pay for that shit, right? They don't like that shit. They don't like social programs. And so, this is the thing. There's that's not a solution. He's just sitting there talking shit about imaginary stuff that doesn't work, because he's a prick. He's a shekel-taking prick, right? And I just want to add this. I'm editing. It's the next day. My wife and I were driving, and we saw these two homeless people, and I said, look at those two entrepreneurs over there. It was kind of funny. But, there's one good thing about being homeless, which is you no longer have responsibilities. I mean, you still have them, but they're, like you don't have to pay rent. You don't have to make a certain amount of money to live. You're just free to sleep everywhere. There's a freedom to it. Like these people, like Charlie Kirk says he wants freedom, but he doesn't want these people to be homeless, right? On the street. We don't put up with it. Like, well, you want your freedom, just not everybody's freedom, right? You don't want liberal freedom. Like liberal means freedom, right? Being a liberal, but you liberal want, more social freedoms, more whatever. You don't want gay rights freedom. You don't want liberal types freedom. So like people say they want freedom, but they're all into censorship, both sides, and all these things. But, other than the, just the fuck it aspect of homelessness, of being an entrepreneur, where you no longer need to have these responsibilities, right? You have a freedom of just, there's no bills to pay. There's just nothing. Like you just let yourself go. You just said, fuck it, right? But other than that, for the most part, being homeless is a fear that people have. Like everyone, has a fear that you're not going to, there's a time where you're you lose your job or something happens or the economy's in crisis, and you're like, am I going to end up homeless? Right? Like the people worry about losing their homes. Lots of people. Everyone, and probably everyone goes through a time where they're on the margin, where homeless is a reasonable, possibility. So he makes it sound like these guys are doing it by choice. And for the most part, they're not. Like they're just not capable of functioning in society due to mental illness, due to drug habits, due to, it's usually something wrong with them that's making it happen. I mean, there's sometimes people just, they just get fired and there's people in California, there's this tent city has sprung up, not just there, but all over the place. And there are people making $200,000 plus a year, but they were living, paycheck to paycheck. They bought houses, the economic bubble, these things. And there was an economic collapse at the end of the Obama thing, whatever that was, 2008. And these people, like rich people, were all of a sudden having, like within 6 months, they were in fucking homeless shelter. They were in tents and shit, right? And so, people still maybe had a car or whatever. But there are people who, don't have a home. And like, it's just fucking thing. It's not just America. It's not like, there's a bunch of slackers, right? They're in this situation for whatever reason. And sometimes kids are involved as well. And so, you have to be compassionate about that because anybody can happen to anybody. When you see homeless people, it's like a kind of a reminder that you're, that could be you, right? This could be, you too could be an entrepreneur, right? It's just right there for everybody. And this uncompassionate guy, prick who doesn't believe in empathy, but he believes in freedom. And he's a godly person, but just not for homeless people or for liberals. Okay, so today's Wednesday, October 15th, I believe, is the day. I started this video yesterday. Here's a better view of her giving her speech here. The close-up of her. Like this, look, this fucking dead motherfucker here, right?
Because he was unreachable at the moment. And he preferred quiet birthdays. But that never stopped me from telling him. I told him every single year. I said, baby.
Baby, I said, baby. I said, baby. We saw this yesterday. I said, baby.
I love your birthday.
I love your birthday, baby. Baby, I love your birthday. She's such a bad actress, right? When something's performative, it cheapens it. Like if you get up and you're at a funeral, like you would see a movie where the wife would be, some insincere, whatever, married to some guy, some rich guy, some old rich guy, right? He dies. She's harvesting his wealth and she's putting out an act of grieving and, count the money, right? So, so like when you act at a funeral, like there's either real grief or there's like, what's wrong with you, right? Why aren't you grieving? Well, I didn't like the guy. I don't feel anything, right? Like if you don't feel anything, you don't feel anything. There's no reason to fake it. To fake like you're.
I said, because it's the day that God knew the world couldn't go another day without you.
I understand, little boy. Yeah. I mean, this is a much better view. It's just so fake, right? Like everybody who could see this, like you just really have to delude yourself to think this isn't faking. Or it's faking, but you're just a fan of the whole thing. You don't want to admit it. This is how people, I'm going to talk about this at the beginning of the next video. I'll do a little voiceover about that. But you know how people are just so prejudiced in their worldview and they just go along with things because they're Republicans or they're Christian or whatever, but they know it's fake. They judge the other side for doing the exact same thing when they do it. Like if this was Hillary Clinton or Kamala doing it, or whoever it was, right? J.D. Vance's wife, or one of the Jill Biden or one of those people. You'd be like, oh my God, it's so fake, right? It's like you can see it when it isn't you and your people.
And so the rhythm of our usual birthday celebration for him was...
Yeah, we know. Let's go forward here.
Charlie fought for until his last breath. And it was
written... We got a little snot there, so you got a little snot.
Stand it and defend it He wanted them to see that liberty isn't self-indulgence, it's self-governance under God.
Like, this is her last time she gets to cry like this. I mean, is she going to go on a crying tour? You know, every time she talks about Charlie, she's going to cry. You know, like, there's a shelf life to grief. You know, like, you move on and you get into a new daily routine, like she was saying earlier. You know, or whatever it was on her Instagram post. You get into a routine and, you know, it's just life goes on, right? I mean, that's how it is. And, you know, every time she gives a speech, she's going to talk about Charlie and cry. Like every time she shows up on the show, and she, you know, again, they were getting no views. They only got like 285,000 views on their channel for this. Now, of course, this was probably posted on Trump's thing and other places. But they used to get millions. Charlie used to get sometimes 2 million views on things. Some of these live things, they got views like that. When J.D. Vance and Tucker Carlson hosted the show, they got 2 million views. And so Candace Owens is getting 2 million views on a regular basis for calling out the bullshit, you know, the official story bullshit. And so they've lost their audience. Like, they've lost it. And, you know, she might have some people who are fanning for her and these things, and she'll post some of these things on Instagram. But, you know, it's not working, right? And so without that, they're not going to get shekels. And they don't, you know, Israel doesn't, now that Israel's like the war's over and like everything's calmed down, they got what they wanted. They don't need so much, you know. I mean, they still got to get American dollars, but there's still going to be less protests and things like this. You know, people move on from the Gaza thing, even though it's you know, it's no less a nightmare that now that they finally stopped bombing the place because there's nothing less to bomb, right? You know, so, but, you know, people move on. Greta and all those, you know, fake concern, liberal piece of shit, right? So, I mean, this is, you know, there's no need for them to have this kind of support, you know, that they have this kind of shilling, you know, shekeling from somebody like Charlie Kirk. So even if Charlie Kirk was alive, it wasn't as important, right? You know, it's except for the Epstein thing. Like the Epstein thing, if it comes out he was a Mossad agent and they were using him to blackmail politicians, then that's a huge deal. Let's move forward here.
And it's because his confidence in Christ was absolute. That's why.
All right, go back a little bit.
Everything else was just noise to him. And it's because his confidence in Christ was absolute.
Yeah, it wasn't. You know, he had confidence in it was shekels, because he took 100 million of them, right? That isn't confidence in Christ. Like I said, you can't serve two masters, but he served three. He served Israel, he served Donald Trump, and then maybe Jesus. Like, you know, and like his fans. I mean, you know, he had a company too. Like his company was his master. So he's serving multiple masters, and Jesus was the last one. You know, I want to talk about this more when we get through this thing. I got a more truthful version of Christ's life and story than you get. You know, that for people who are open to it, right? Who aren't, you know, blocked by their indoctrination. We'll come back to that though.
That's why.
That's why.
There was no limit. No limit to what.
See, like her laughing and that sort of, you know, like I'm sad but I'm laughing, and he was such a joy, and it's just like so fake, right? Like, you know, people. I mean, it's just bad.
He would have sacrificed to defend freedom for all, and if the moment had come, he probably.
Well, that's not Jesus wasn't. Show me in the Bible where it says freedom, right? Show me in the Bible where it says like freedom, and you know, this is an American concept, right? It doesn't really, freedom doesn't exist. I've talked about that. Your body's a slave to its, you know, desires and needs, and you know, there's it's heavy. Like life on planet Earth is heavy, and there's just, you know, you think of, and the older you get, the more it's evident. You know, you're young, you're much more flexible in what you can, you know, do. You can sleep on the floor, you know, whatever it is, right? When you get older, you need more and more like stuff where you travel with more and more things, and you have more and more things propping you up, your physical self, and Yeah, more and more of a routine. Look at this guy. Look at this. Like the way he stands and all that. He's such a fucking dweeb.
Would have run for president, but not out of ambition. He would only have done it if that was something that he believed that his country needed from a servant's heart standpoint.
He had a servant's heart. Like, you know, the $100 million he was getting from Israel, from Israeli shills, like Shillman. The $200 million he was getting from Shillman and other people. That was just gravy.
And Charlie lived only 31 short years. No, he's 32, but on this side of heaven. But
on this side of heaven, he's in heaven now, but we're on the other side of that.
He lived. He lived every single second he lived.
He lived. He did. He lived. You know, she's got the dabbing of the eyes. She's got the smile and giggle and laugh. She's got the crying, and then she's got the whispering. You know, and it's just Alec Baldwin does that same bullshit. And it's just,
He filled every single day with purpose, and he fought for truth when it was unpopular.
Yeah, that's not truth, what he was saying. He took money from Israel, and he shilled for their fucking, decimation of like, if somebody deserved to go to hell, like, you know. It's, you know, it's more complex than what the Christians tell you it is. You know, you have future lives. But, you know, to use God and to go against people's, to use, you know, their belief system against them and, you know, go against these college students and take money to shill for Israel as they demolish a country. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen a fucking war crime like this so obviously done in our, you know, recent lifetime. Where they just bombed the shit out of a fucking country and destroyed 80% of it. Like, just all the civilian stuff. Like, you know, they didn't need to do that because of Hamas. I got something I showed you, Netanyahu whining about how the world turned on Israel and how it's like they're so fucked and wrong. That was part of his speech when Trump was there. It's just, it's obscene. It's so icky.
And he stood for God when it was costly, but that's what we're called to do.
Yeah, he didn't stand for God. Like, there's nothing to do with God with this guy, right? Like, I saw all the video clips I saw, even when he's talking about God, it isn't about God. This is not a godly person.
Surprisingly enough, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did.
He did that. He did that. See, Donald Trump with his, look at fucking these fucking pieces of shit. It's that fucking Charlie. He was a saint. He prayed for his dad. What amazing saintly martyr he is. Fucking.
He did.
He did do it. What do I know? Fucking, what do I know?
He did.
Let's laugh. Let's laugh for a little bit before I dab my eye. How long after she laughs do she dab her eye?
No one else, I saw him do it. No, he never did it in front of anyone else, but I can attest to that.
There it is. And then now you're dabbing your eye. Fucking, she was laughing. He did it. He did it. Dabbed his eye. Dab her eye. Fucking so fucking fake, right? And again, this is 5 weeks out. Like, when does she stop wearing black? When does she show up? When does she roll out her new boyfriend? Like,
but he also loved people when it was inconvenient.
He did. Inconvenient lover, this guy.
And he ran his race with endurance, and he kept the faith.
Dab your eye. He kept that faith.
And now he wears the crown of a righteous martyr.
Yeah, righteous martyr. He's a righteous martyr, that guy. Not a fucking illegitimate martyr. He's a righteous one.
And for me and for our children, the truth really steadies our grief, because heaven gained what earth could no longer contain.
This fucking guy, he burst into heaven because he was about to blow up the earth with his faith and his love for Jesus and his amount of shills he was able to take, or he was rejecting the shills. That was the thing. Like, just stupid shit. Like, the guy was a piece of shit, right? And they're celebrating this motherfucker like he was a hero. And whenever they induce God, like, it's one thing to be a piece of shit and be a financial person, to be a banker, to be a lawyer, to be a politician, and just, to be a Hollywood celebrity. It's another one to be a fake religious person. and pretend that you're like, something, talk about God to manipulate people and use it to enrich yourself in these things. Like that's always the worst thing. Like, there's the Jeffrey Epstein type pedos, or there's the priest pedos. Whenever you bring God into it, because when people realize you're ripping them off or you're leading them astray, but using God as a way, and it's so manipulative, it's so fucking icky. Here comes the big part here.
A free man made fully free.
Fully free. He was so free. He was it's a fully free man.
And to all watching, this is...
She's ignoring the fact that he was having an issue because they were turning on him. Because the people in the right wing and other, people were turning on Israel. And he was such a big shill for them. And he was going on these shows and saying, like, he was about to break free. He had this post from Candace Owens that's now out there. It's made public. All of her fans, all the people over there know about it. Whether they agree with Candace or like Candace, they know that happened. That he said, I'm going to break away from Israel. And this whole thing that just happened with fucking is, this bullshit Israel peace thing.
This is not a ceremony. This is a commissioning. And my message is simple. I want you to be the embodiment of this medal.
Oh my God. Be the medal. Be the embodiment of this bullshit fucking fake medal that's been, when they gave it to like Ellen DeGeneres and like, all these people down the road, like some of the worst people, Bono and, just whatever it is. When they gave this medal out to just the worst type of people, left and right, it's cheapened. It's not a real thing, right? Like if it was real heroes, but it's all politicized. It's the left give it to people that the right would never, acknowledge as being worthy, and the right gives it to people that the left would never acknowledge as being worthy, right? It would have to be people that both the left and the right would agree, or most people would agree, that person was a great person, and we don't have that anymore, right? Like who is somebody that would check that box? Almost nobody. And so like it's not a real thing. The medal means nothing, right?
I do. I want you to free yourself from fear. I want you to stand courageously in the truth. Listen for the still, small voice of God.
Yeah, still small voice of God. God will tell you, take as much money from Israel as possible and watch the Palestinian children get bombed and tell college kids it's okay. Because that's what God would say to you with God's whispering voice.
And remember that while freedom is inherited in this country,
no, it's not.
Each of us must be intentional stewards every single day.
Every single day. This guy's going after his political enemies as he speaks, and he's invoking martial law.
God began a mighty work through my husband, and I intend to see it through. And the torch is in our hands now. It's in mine.
Yeah, you've lost it. Like you're not likable. You're like the Kamala of this, right-wing Christian bullshit thing that's going on. You have no chance of carrying this on. You've lost your audience.
It's in yours. It's in all of yours. It's in all the students with Turning Point USA. And before I close, I'll share with you that I asked our daughter.
This is a big moment here. Look at her smile. She's going to get all weird and teary. I saw this. They clipped it, and I saw it.
And before I close, I'll share with you that I asked our daughter what she would like to say to Daddy for his birthday.
They said, I'm going to exploit you and use it in this speech. So say something great, because I need if you don't say something great, I have to make something up, because, you got to deliver on this, because you're 3 and I need your actual reaction. That's got to be speech-worthy. I want a speech-worthy reaction here. Oh, excuse me. I can't bear it. Excuse me. I can't go on with this speech. I need a moment. Let me count and give this moment. I need a 10-second moment here. Look up to heaven. Yeah, give it a look. That's another thing she does. Look up to heaven to Charlie.
She said,
Give me the strength, Charlie, to go on.
"Happy birthday, Daddy.
Where's my fucking blueberries, Daddy? I thought you were getting blueberries from Jesus.
I want to give you a stuffed animal."
Oh, man, I can't do it. It's just so painful. I got to dab both eyes. Everyone's pointing out she's only dabbing the left eye, but she's dabbing both eyes, and she's doing some snot in here.
"I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream."
This is so great. It's amazing what she's saying here. Stuffed animals and ice cream and cupcakes. Holy shit, it's just too much for me to bear.
"And I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you."
I love you.
That's what she said.
That's just what she said. She said those words.
And while our son is precious, he can't yet speak.
He's so precious. He's just so precious. It's just so fucking fake, right? I know it's a right-wing thing she's doing, that right-wing dopes eat up, but this fake act, this way of being, where it's so performative.
In classic Kirk family fashion, his actions spoke louder than his words, and his gift to you, Charlie, and myself for that matter, was deciding to become the man of the house and be fully potty trained at 16 months.
Kaboom. That's why he did it. It's a miracle. It's a potty training miracle. I mean, 16 months is just an amazing time. Usually it takes 2 years at the minimum, right? But, like he did it. He did it for you, Dad. He's not shitting in a diaper anymore for you. Unlike this motherfucker right here. Unlike this motherfucker, he's not shitting in a diaper.
But Charlie, baby, I know that you're celebrating
Charlie, I know you're celebrating this pooping in the potty moment.
In heaven today, but gosh, I miss you.
I miss you so much. I know you're celebrating. It's like a party. You guys got party hats on there. Jesus is there. You're not Judas, not Judas. But you're there, Charlie. You're there, even though you shackled up. Even though you took money from the Pharisees. You were kind of more like a Judas than you were like a Jesus. But, you're there. And all these other people are there. Michael Jackson's with you. Keep away from him, though. Like, don't tell him about your kid potty training, because he's like...
We miss you.
We miss you, Charlie. We miss you so much. We do miss you. Charlie, we miss you. Yeah, miss you, Charlie.
And we love you, and we promise we'll make you proud. And Charlie's life was proof that freedom is not a theory, it's a testimony.
It's a testimony. That she gets all hard.
He showed us that liberty begins not in the halls of power, but in the man of a heart surrendered to God.
Yes, he wasn't surrendering to God. He was surrendering to shekels. Because like he was having a crisis of what happens when I have to no longer support Israel like I'm doing because I'm losing my audience. He was having a corporate crisis, which he talked about on publicly and then in private. And then, you're not bringing up at all. This motherfucker is claiming peace with Israel that just bombed the shit out of a country, destroyed it, decimated it, turned the country into rubble. An unarmed country where people don't have an army, just bomb the shit out of civilians until there's no country left. And you motherfuckers are sitting up here pretending you're godly people, right? Like, that was a godly act.
And so today, as we honor Charlie with this incredible Presidential Medal of Freedom.
And so it's just amazing. It's the best medal in all of the world.
On his birthday.
On his birthday, no less. I mean, it happened. It's like amazing.
I stand here with tears and just...
And a rag full of snot and tears, and I just can't. And whispers.
Heart and spirit, because
dab it, fucking dab it.
The story reminds us all that to live free is the greatest gift, but to die free is the greatest victory.
Victory. It was a victory. That was what we saw on that stage. Was a victory.
Happy birthday, my Charlie.
My Charlie. My Charlie. Happy birthday, my Charlie. My Charlie. My Charlie.
Happy Freedom Day.
Happy Freedom Day. It's a Freedom Day for Charlie. Is that they were going to call it Happy Freedom Day? There you go. Get in there. Get some kisses from Trump. snot all over him, snot on this thing, and just, oh, that's just, we have a moment here, we're pretending like we're not in front of cameras, and you know, all these people are, get away, you bitch. Go sit back down. We've seen enough of you. Okay, that's it for you. What our arc of fame is fading. This was your last big moment. And they played the music. That was just fucking horrendous. So fucking gross. Just an abomination. You know, going back to where she was basically saying Trump rearranged his schedule with world leaders. You know, he's an old guy, right? They don't travel well. And he might have had important business in these countries. Of course, it was corrupt bullshit, but like if he was a real president, right, that he would rush back for this thing because it had to be on Charlie Kirk's birthday and this whole bullshit thing and her fake, right? The whole things are so fucking fake, right? You know, like if he was a real patriot, he'd probably say, well, maybe you should do your presidential duty first and celebrate this Medal of Freedom, whatever you have at your convenience, right? Anyways, it's just so, it's an abomination. It's just a fucking corrupt fake thing. I should also mention, I combed through this thing, and there's not one reference to Israel. She's not talking about Israel, and, she talked about a little bit of Charlie and some of the other things, but she's staying silent on that because they're trying to figure out which way to go with that thing. So they come out, and he grabs her hand, grabs her arm in a weird way, trying to help her down because she has these, those stilettos on. And here's the advances, watch. Okay, so she's talked about Usha so much. So I don't know who this is over here, sitting next to her. But she's talked to Vance, she talks about Usha all the time. Now, she puts her head down, she turns the other way and hugs and kisses that person. She's talked about Usha being so great and confident in her and all that stuff. And, there was a performative moment that she just blew there. But just fucking weird. So, I want to tell a story about Jesus' religion in a voiceover in a moment. Kind of in, something you haven't heard before. But this guy is Alan Jackson. This is a video. Secretary Bassat reveals how they're going to crush the left-wing extremism. So this guy comes out, and this is a paid advertisement.
I'm Pastor Alan Jackson. We've had the privilege of partnering with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. It was an honor to stand with them. All of us are grieving Charlie's absence. But here's the reality. We have an assignment. We're not stopping. We're going to continue forward with what Charlie invested his life in. Now it's our turn to lead with faith. We're going to make an impact in this generation for the kingdom of God. We have some resources for you. You can go to alanjackson.com/Charlie.
/Charlie. Use code Charlie.
Together, we're going to make a difference in this generation.
All right, welcome to
So that's a paid advertisement. It's 30 seconds long. He got 30 seconds. Where he's using God and Charlie to, just fucking, it's so gross, right? And so they bring in this guy here.
Charlie Kirk Show. I'm Andrew Colvet, executive producer of this fine show, joined, as always, by producer Blake Neff. And
these are two guys sharing one testicle. Where's Charlie's chair here? They're somewhere in Washington, D.C., right?
I'm honored to say we are also joined by Secretary Scott Bessent. Thank you so much for joining us.
This fucking, he's a Secretary of the Treasury, this cold, dead motherfucker, right?
Mr. Secretary, it is an honor to be with you, to have you join us in this beautiful room that we are in, the cash room.
Yeah, well, gentlemen, welcome to the U.S. Treasury and welcome to the cash room.
Yeah.
Let's get the word out. Let's go right to the Treasury. Where are the shekels? Where do you guys store the shekels? We're running low on shekels now that Charlie's dead. What's your advice for us to get more shekels?
This is a beautiful, beautiful space that we're in. It's historic. Apparently, they used to hold the actual cash of the U.S. government.
We did when we had it.
Yeah, right.
When we had more cash than debt.
Right, but Blake was
no, not anymore. Well, now we just got all debt. Where do you store the debt? Where's the debt? Where's the room that you store the debt? Where are the shekels? Plus, you guys got shekels. I know you guys got shekels in here. We want shekels. We smell the shekels. We can smell the shekels in here.
commenting that we are now 37 trillion in debt, so it's empty now. But it's a beautiful room to do a show in, nevertheless.
Yeah, who cares about this $37 trillion? Charlie will save it. Charlie and his wonderful stuffed animal toy and what he's getting from his daughter in that wonderful moment.
And they're excited to have you here.
It's an honor, sir. I just want to start, at the basics. You have not had a chance, at least on this show, to reflect on the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. This is, of course, would have been his 32nd birthday. We are in D.C. because the president promised Erika that he was going to award Charlie the Presidential Medal of Freedom on his 32nd birthday. He
did. He promised. He made that promise.
He moved world events in order to race back to D.C.
To do that, it's historic. What do you think about that? What do you think about a guy who would do that for someone who was so shackled up? Charlie Shekels. The shekels are just...
to make good on that promise to Erika. So the floor is yours, Mr. Secretary. Just expound on what Charlie meant to you, your interactions with him, and what the last month has meant to you in this.
Well, Andrew, we were gay lovers. Just like you and your buddy that share a testicle, you low testosterone having motherfuckers. Me and Charlie, we were very intimate.
Country.
Andrew, I was actually walking out of the vice president's office when news of what happened to Charlie hit, and then the news that he had passed came after that. And what really hit me was if someone wanted to try to end the MAGA movement, the America First, and the Turning Point USA ethos, obviously, 10 years out, Charlie was going to be carrying the torch. And if you wanted to try to end the movement, the way to do it was to assassinate Charlie. And clearly, this is what was on that person's mind. We'll see.
One person. They talk about this as an organization, right? They're organized. The Secretary Bassant reveals how they're going to crush the left-wing extremism. Let's get to that part. But it's this one, deranged person, which, of course, it's bullshit, the story. But this lone gunman thing, it works because you can't prosecute people in a group. You could when and it's getting to be that level on fake bullshit, right? It has to be real. You can create. Creating a group of patsies is a lot harder. It's easier if the guy's dead, right? When they kill the guy, with Trump, when they have these fake events. So, to create this fake extremism on the left, which the left was doing with the right. The left was running the same game on the right. God knows how bad it's going to be when the Democrats take over again, after this stuff with Trump and how sanctimonious and all this shit that they're going to be saying about all the ways that they mistreated and how everything's going to swing back to the left version of censorship. Now we have the right version. It's just appalling, right? Just to fucking...
If there was a larger network involved with this, I have no reason to believe there was. I have no reason to believe there wasn't.
What do you mean? You have the fucking FBI saying there wasn't. You have the people investigating saying there wasn't. That's your reason for believing that there wasn't a bigger network, is that your government, your president, your FBI, your Kash Patel, all these people are saying there wasn't. That there wasn't a bigger network. There was a bigger network. It was you guys, right? You guys did this fucking thing with Israel, right? There's a huge network of Mossad and CIA and you guys manufacturing this event.
And to me, everyone knows Charlie was a family man. He was a Christian. He was a patriot. But the Charlie I knew, too, was also an educator.
He was an educator. He educated the shit out of people on bullshit facts for shekels. All right, let's get to the main thing here. Okay, so I want to talk about this. For those of you listening to this on the Journey series, I just was talking about Erika Kirk and Trump and their fake Medal of Freedom ceremony, and then all the stuff to do with Turning Point. And so when you become a conduit for God, each person has the potential and has moments in their life. Everybody has moments in their life where God comes through you, where you can be a conduit for divinity. It's a choice that everybody has. And most people say, fuck you, I don't want to do that, right? And what's in it for me? And they're just selfish about it. But even in your sleep, you can be, used in a way, not used in a way like you're being used, but you can be, it's a privilege and it's an honor to be able to be a conduit for God, but people don't think about it that way. But if you work at it, first, to be a good conduit for God, you have to be internally cleansed in some way. You have to keep your spiritual condition good, pristine, so that you can receive God, which is God is subtle. So if you're partying and you're listening to a lot of, like, say, heavy metal music, and you're watching a lot of graphic pornography and horror movies, and you're in a lot of drama, you're watching Kardashians, things like that, and then really getting into them. That's the other thing, because you could watch all that stuff and be disconnected from it, not attending to it. But and the more you're like that, where you're kind of oblivious to the outside world, you're doing what you have to do, but not really focused in on it, not being sucked into the drama, right? So there's that aspect of it where there's a detachment because you're thinking about God all the time. But you have to keep your internal world clean. Like, you have to have a good, wholesome sort of innocent internal world. Like, you have to work at that. And then when you are affected by things, there has to be, that's a great aspect of the Sajmark system, is a cleaning process. Where you clean away impressions, samskaras, things that block your connection to the divinity within you. And so you have to, work at keeping that connection clean, right? Just like with your other relationships. Like, if you contaminate your relationships with, perverted shit, and you can't really be there for the other person, it's hard for you to be loving to the people in your life because you're all fucked up. Like, if you're addicted to gambling or substances, you really, the love just doesn't come through, right? You're not able to be loving to other people because you're a worthless addict, right? So this is why I talk about being a piece of shit, right? When you're being a piece of shit, it's that you're, allowing the perversions of the world to affect your ability to be loving and be true to yourself and become who you're meant to become, right? Because you put layers of just perverted shit, whatever it might be, gross things, on top of your soul, so you don't even know who you are in terms of as a pure human being, as a pure soul, because you've added all these layers of addiction and perversion and things. So that's where most people say fuck you to God, because they don't want to give up those things, right? They don't want to work on their internal condition so that they can be do service for God. So I'm in the kind of unique position where I am, willing to do that. And I've been doing that now for a number of years. When I started doing the Sajmark system, passionately, enthusiastically in the beginning, when I was not really, good at it. And now that I'm a lot better at it, I'm not as enthusiastic about it because, of the people problem, right? But having, done that or working on that and being willing to do that and, working on my spiritual condition and working on my connection to God, I can speak from a place where people who are unwilling to do that, like anybody can do it, but they just don't want to, right? They don't, the opportunity's there for everybody. So we'll come back to this in a moment. So in terms of Jesus, Jesus's life went like most lives of people who do spiritual work. And you can see it happening, not that Charlie Kirk is the slightest bit spiritual. I mean, maybe, in some ways I don't know about, but nothing that I've seen, right? What goes on inside somebody is, even then you can still read it in people. But you can see like this idea of what would Charlie do. I just showed a clip of this piece of shit, Stephen Miller. I mean, he's, a huge piece of shit, like just a horrible person, obnoxious, claiming that Charlie sent him a message about going after left-wing terrorists, right before he died, and them being that part is Charlie's, this is what Charlie wanted, these things. I mean, this is what happened. So, you have this with Jesus. So when Jesus was alive, and again, Charlie Kirk is not anything like Jesus and anything like a spiritual person, but this is the same kind of thing that happens in any kind of movement. I mean, they'll do it with Trump or these things. This is what Trump would have wanted, these things. They start invoking, like, you don't trust me, I'm a piece of shit, but Trump would agree with me if he was still alive, right? Like this kind of thing people say. And so when Jesus was alive, he had 12 disciples, only 12. And 3 of them shit the bed. Peter denied him, Thomas doubted him, and Judas betrayed him. Judas was, of course, the worst one of the 3. I mean, of the 12 and of the 3. And so he also had some numerous other followers, people around. And that was it, right? And many of those people turned on him when he was crucified. And so, there's Mary Magdalene had the, the Nag Hammadi text, right? Those other, these other teachings of Jesus. And she was also deeply connected with him. She was a disciple in a different way. But he had, a small circle of people. And even within that small circle, there was pretty much complete failure to live the way that he did, to carry on the work that he was working on. Now, Jesus, he was just on the first ring of spirituality. Like, he wasn't very advanced spiritually. He died young, like he would have been maybe more later on in life. But he died young. And he was in a shitty part of the world it's not conducive to spirituality. And so whatever the time that he spent in India and these things. But he had some sort of method, and he, whatever he was doing, it didn't stick, right? It didn't stick with these people. Like some of it did. Some of it made it into the teachings. But they really couldn't rise up to even his level. And there's he just had a lot farther to go. Like that's, if you know anything about like the vast spiritual movements and the spiritual journey or the yatra, Jesus was, on the first rung of spirituality, which was too much for everybody else around him and everybody who's done Christianity since then. So it's, not even graduating from kindergarten into first grade. Like Jesus was in first grade, and only a handful of saints that have come out of Christianity have maybe made it to first grade and these things, or just even becoming a spiritual person, where you throw off the shackles of your religion, which Jesus did. Jesus was no longer Jewish. He became spiritual. And so that's something that everybody should do. You should grow up in a religion, or you should be around a religion, and then move towards, again, if you grow up in a spiritual organization, that's something different. That's where you're already, your parents are engaged in that, something like that. But there's the religious aspect, and then at some point, you need to find your own connection to God, and you need some system to facilitate that connection. That's what the Sajmark system of meditation does, right? Where everybody who does it has a internal connection to God. And it matters. It's just about their effort to create this connection and cultivate it and work on it, right? And so, it's unique in that way. But transcending a religion, it could be religion of science, it could be the religion of atheism, like it's something where there's an external authority. It could be the religion of being a patriot. It could be any of these things, where your external authority is America, your external authority is the government, your external authority is science, your external authority is the church, and you're not connecting to the divinity within you, where you're getting direction from your internal connection to God and your soul, right? And so, when Jesus was alive, he was teaching that in some method to achieve that, whatever he was using, some kind of yogic, some yogic teachings that he had learned from his trip in India, whatever it was, right? Jesus was teaching something, and he only had a handful of people. And when you become a spiritual person, you have to change. And it feels like a burden to be connected to God, because God tells you things all the time or shows you things that means you have to change. And it sucks, on an egotistical level. That's why people don't want to be spiritual, because they don't want to work and change and put some effort into it and become a better person. And then there's the social aspect of it, right? As a social person in a religion, if your family's in a religion, there's some, one of the preceptors that was around when I started Saj Marg, she started a Christian guy, and he immediately felt the energy and loved the meditation. And he was doing it for like a couple months, weeks, and he was like, this is the real thing. He said, "This is amazing. I'm having all this great connection to God." But his family were all devout Catholics or Christians or whatever whatever. Christian and Catholic are the same thing, but Catholic or Protestant, whatever their church was. His wife and his family were all very devoted to the church, and none of them he saw would leave it and evolve and become spiritual and do the Sajmark system. So he had a choice to make because he knew that this thing was connecting to him to God in a way his religion wasn't, and he wanted more, and yet he didn't want to upset his family, and this was, I mean, the kind of issues this would cause for his family when he left the church and was started to do this thing, and then everyone was, I mean, maybe his dad was even a pastor or something like this, just so And so then there's the social aspects and the social pressure, and that's also for people in the truth community. When people in the truth community all start believing the same bullshit, when I started to break from the normal truthers, the average truthers, is because a lot of the stuff was disproven bullshit. A lot of it was disinformation or made up shit. And when I started fact checking it, I started confronting some of these things, like thermite being a part of the big event in 2001. Like things like that. When I started confronting that, then all these people were like, "No, this is the way it is." I'm like, "No, because no, you're just repeating like a parrot other shit that people have said that isn't proven and is actually false," right? And, when the Sajmark system turned into this heartfulness cult, it sucked for me. And, I don't have an organization anymore that, was so important to me when the third master of the system was alive. And now this piece of shit Dodgy, who's completely failed, it took over. When that happened, it was mostly a bad thing. But the good part about it was, I no longer had the organization to worry about because they're not truthers, people in the organization. And so I was free to say whatever I, without any thought about it being an organizational issue, right? When an organization is, having to deal with mainstream people and sheeple, and is, the Sajmark organization was, it's funded by donations and people working and volunteering and being a part of the system. And they built this giant ashram. So they had these big sort of vacant lots, farmland, where they would have big gatherings of 75,000, 40,000, 30,000, depending on the gathering in various places in India. And, they had a way of doing it, setting up tents, and, there's, huge turnout. And they figured a way to do all this and pull it off. The ashram in Chennai only sat 5,000 people in meditation, so it wasn't big enough for most things. And in fact, even regular Sunday meditation, sometimes it would be packed. And people would be sitting outside and it was hot. It's just, it's India. And so they decided to build this ashram when the third master of the system was dying. They bought 1,000 acres of land in Hyderabad, and they put out this massive meditation building that seats 120,000 people. Or whatever, 100,000 people. It's the biggest meditation building in the world. And they built all this stuff, kind of an amazing place. But this guy Dodgy shit the bed, right? And now they have this big fucking ashram that they have to make financially viable, and he sucks. Like he turned people off, and he was just shitty at his job. And again, it's not a paid position, so he's, it's like this, being the president of the master is a service position. He just sucked at it, and he started to hobnob with famous people. They started to bring in politicians. And then he started to not like the big gatherings. And so, but now he has to make money. So they started to rent the place out and all this shit that was never supposed to happen, right? And so, the same thing when you look at like Charlie Kirk and these other people. If you have a payroll of $22 million a year, then, you can't say certain things, and you have to be more mainstream. And you can't tell people the truth, right? But when you have 100 people and you don't have an organization and you have 100 followers around you, 200 followers or whatever it is, in some local area, and if they don't want the truth, they can leave, right? It's no big deal. You're not obligated to, financially constrained by big numbers and these things. So, when your organization grows and it becomes, it's seen as an asset. Like in India, they started to see this heartfulness thing as something where politicians wanted a piece of it, and businesses and all these things. And then the corruption descends into it, right? Like with these churches, and then you have to be politically correct. Like when they start to say, well, let's give people the right to divorce, when all these churches said, like, let's make divorce, something people could do. They, it wasn't because it was what Jesus wanted or it was part of their teachings. It was because modern people were going to leave the church if they couldn't get divorced, and people were leaving the church if they couldn't get divorced. One of the kings, Henry VIII, was fucking killing his wives because he wasn't allowed to get a divorce, right? And so, like, this became a degraded aspect, right, where they're watering down the teachings. So when Jesus was alive, he had a handful of people, and those people didn't rise up to it, but at least they were around him, and they were were doing something. But most people couldn't accept him. And then after he died, they started watering down the system and making it, making promises they couldn't keep, and making him the only son of God and all this bullshit they put in there. And, and then they started using force in various places around the world where they would force people to leave their religion or spiritual practices, Aboriginal people and other people, and force it on them. Like, so that's what happens, right? Like, that's when something's totally degraded. Because now, instead of being the pure message and having a method and being about connecting to God, it's a money-making, powerful organization. So, anything that starts off in grassroots, that's when it's at its best. That's when it's idealism, and that's when it's, all the things that were there. There was an exchange I had with some of the people as Chargy was dying, and they joined the UN, and I said, the UN is not popular around the world. It's bad, and the second master system could have joined the UN, and, he said it was silly. Like, it was like they were trying to create peace through war, right? Like and other things. And so he didn't, but they reversed all that, and they joined the UN and became an NGO. And I was, having it out with some guy, and he said, radical idealism. He said that I was doing was radical idealism. I'm like, these guys who have since tanked the whole system. They're pissed everybody off who was good, who was like a good spiritual practitioners, and they've watered it down, and now they got dumb fucks, right? And so, like, at some point you start embracing these, the lower consciousness of people, because you need more and more numbers, because your organization has to keep on growing, but at the cost of, the purity and the objectives of the original intent of the first, the master of the system, in this case, Jesus, right? And so Jesus is now whatever people want him to be, their own personal Jesus. That's like that song, like your own personal Jesus, because everyone has their own idea what Jesus is. But if Jesus showed up, the majority of Christians would, first, they wouldn't like the way he looked. They wouldn't like the fact that he was human and had human tendencies, and, not this imaginary, fictional, superhero-like character that they've created in their own, in their religion and their own minds. And he would tell them they have to change their bullshit ways that they don't want to change. And so if Jesus came back, almost all Christians would reject him. Oh, that's not the real Jesus. They would find some way, because they're not really connected to Jesus. They're connected to some bullshit promise and a shitty book, and, especially the Old Testament, that shouldn't even be a part of it. This is what I talk about here. Like, you don't hear this stuff from other people because they're all part of it, right? They're all part of the indoctrination. You have people who deny Christianity in an atheistic way or a scientific way, but not people who recognize that Jesus was a spiritual person, but, in a truthful way, right? And, the real issue here is the majority of people can't rise up to a higher developed soul. Having limited access in the past, now there's the internet and there's travel. But the majority of people can't rise up and become spiritual and have an internal relationship with God. And that's very problematic. Like, for a species, a species that has this ability but refuses to engage with it. And it's, your own personal growth and evolution's tied to your connection to the divinity within you. And so this is why I always talk about that people just aren't ready for it. And maybe in a post-apocalyptic world, they'll be more receptive. We've yet to see that. But until that happens, this is what always is going to happen, right? And so it just gets watered down and it becomes some bullshit thing. And then it just branches out into different sects, SECTSs, different different Bibles, different different kinds of religions, little subcategories, subgroups, and even within the church you have little groups, little divided groups. Oh, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. Like in just one church, you have a community of people, and you maybe have 3 different pastors that don't agree with the direction to take the church, and then you have the people and they want to do this and that. And it just keeps on fragmenting. When there's basic truths and there's basic principles in every spiritual organization, it's about connecting to God and becoming a truly spiritual person that is influenced by their relationship with divinity, and they find a way to connect to the divinity within them and make decisions and conduct their lives in a way that's consistent with their soul's path. And people just don't fucking do that, right? Like they just, it all becomes about egoism and materiality. And so that's why these churches and these religions suck. It's not because the original message wasn't great. It's just that it has to be dumbfuckistan, right? They have to dumb it down for the people because it needs to grow, and they have to make promises they can't make, and it all becomes bullshit because they're pandering to an audience that, is never going to get it, right? I mean, they don't want to get it. And so, it's just an exercise in futility, because then it becomes the opposite of what it's supposed to do. It's now blocking people's connection to the divinity within them and stifling their spiritual growth. And so that's why religions are the worst, because, they have to do with God. Like real corruption, or, corruption that exists in politics, by corrupt individuals who embrace the corruption. At least they're honest about that part, or at least it's obvious, but they're not trying to hide behind God and hide behind a religious organization and bullshit rules and laws that are there just to protect the religion and the power and the money that they're receiving from it, right? And so this is, the religious organizations are the worst because they're invoking God and, either turning people away from God or misrepresenting God in some way. And so, this is, again, the religions are more responsible for the degradation of human beings because of these ways that they pander to the lower nature of people to keep their power and keep their whatever it is, right? And they indoctrinate people with these ideas of, of temptation and of threats and bribes and temptation and punishment, right? You do what we say, we'll go to heaven. This is the idea of temptation, and then the punishment is hell, right? Threats and bribes, bribing you with heaven and threatening hell, right? These things, and indoctrinate people with that and getting them scared of hell and to love the promise of heaven. And so, and then when they see the opportunity to break free from that, they have to deal with their own indoctrination. Most people fail to become spiritual, or they say fuck the whole thing. The whole thing's bullshit, and they become atheists or agnostics. Again, their relationship with God is wrecked by their indoctrination, by a false blasphemy. I mean, it's blasphemy which they're teaching, because it's about power and control. And so, I'm well aware of these principles, that people don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to change, and they don't want to become spiritual people. They don't want to have a connection to God, and they don't want to, all the things that they don't want to put the effort into it. I've seen it time and time again. It's kind of depressing. I mean, because it's not like, we're just fresh out of the fucking caves. It's just like we just shed our tails. Like, it's not like, we're just, we've been sophisticated people now for thousands of years. And we've had there's been so many different higher developed souls that show you, higher developed people that show you what you can become. But many of them, almost all of them, have had some sort of spiritual fall, which also doesn't speak well to the human race. But, the information's there. It's just that people have to take the opportunities there. People have to take it, and they just don't want it. And and so it's again, it becomes an exercise in futility. Anyways, let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. As Paul Romano definitely pointing to the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.